two competitive superstars at that level, there's going to be times when they are extremely competitive, extremely focused on how do we get to that next level. And when we don't, there's going to be frustration. I'm frustrated. Our top players are frustrated. Mike D'Antoni frustrated. We want to take the last step and be the champion. I think it's good that there is tension in the sense that we all want to win. Shannon, interesting thoughts. Can this one be fixed?
No. It's going to be extremely hard, Skip, as long as you force James Harden and Chris Paul to coexist. It's even harder that the issues have become public. Skip, I don't know. I haven't been around the game of basketball as much as you have, but I don't know if there's ever been a situation like this. Maybe now with the 24-hour sports news cycle, maybe with social media and how things seep out, we get intimate and in-depth of a personal relationship between players behind the scene that maybe in the 60s and 70s, guys didn't like each other, but not like this. Chris Paul, what the hell were you expecting? And before I go into, Skip, is there anybody Chris Paul gets along with? It reported he couldn't get along with Blake Griffin. He's out of New Orleans. He got out of New Orleans. He got out of L.A. Now Houston. Now there's 3 teams with one common denominator. Now, Skip, I wasn't really good at math, but I understand what a common denominator is. It's Chris Paul.
True.
Chris is also looking at it like, Skip, the year before I got here, a couple of years before I got here, James Harden was 4th in usage rate. So he's like, you know what? I could probably work with that.
Yeah.
4th, that ain't bad. That means there are a couple of guys ahead of him. Since CP3 has been there, James Harden is 1st in usage rate. But James Harden also, in 4 of the last 5 years, if I'm not mistaken, Skip, has finished 2nd in the MVP voting, and he's won one.
Yep.
How the hell you gonna tell James Harden to change his game? James Harden game is what it is. It's dribble, dribble, dribble. Watch me, step back, shoot a 3. Or I'm dribbling with 22 seconds left on the shot, with 2 seconds left on the shot clock. I'm gonna pass it to you. You throw a shot up because I don't want to make my field goal percentage look any little worse than what it already is. Skip, this is it. This is how Daryl Morey has put the team together. And what was he thinking? Skip, do you know over the last 3 years, Chris Paul has missed an average of 23 games? He's 34 years of age and guaranteed $41.3 million over the next 3 years.
Yep.
Good luck getting rid of that contract, because the guy that trades for Chris Paul, his fate will be the same as Dale Demps. He would be fired.
True.
I don't see how this works, Skip. It's become public. And it was reported that Chris Paul walked off stage because he got tired of him sitting up there and everybody's asking James Harden.
Doing the joint press
Right.
conference, right.
Because we see that a lot. Sometimes, Skip, when guys have great games, they go up there. A lot of times, it would be LeBron and Kyrie, or LeBron, Kyrie, and Kevin Love. And sometimes it's just LeBron. But a lot of times we see the 2 superstars, they go up there together. But you ask one question, but I guess Chris Paul got upset that all the questions were going to James Harden, and he grabbed his stuff and dipped.
He said, I'm out of here.
Skip, I don't know how do you fix this?
I'm here to tell you that this team next year would be better off with Austin Rivers in the starting lineup ahead of CP3.
Skip, the man makes $41 million.
I'm just telling you that that's the magic fix. But unfortunately, he's going to make 38.5 next year, 41.4 the next year. This is all guaranteed. And then 44.2 3 years from now. All guaranteed, locked in. Can't trade it because nobody's going to want it. Right? What was Daryl Morey thinking last offseason when he gave Chris Paul this? Because I told you several times through the season, he's lost a step. And he doesn't take care of himself the way LeBron does. Great close friend. He always looks a little chunky to me, just a little bit. And it doesn't bode well because he's always pulling something, right? So I don't think he concentrates on fitness the way LeBron does. And as he gets to 30, he's looking like an old 34 going on, what is he? He's going on 35. He looks old.
He's the same age as LeBron.
Right, okay. He just looks old. This will be his 15th. This will be LeBron's 17th season, right? So I've never been a big fan of Chris's because as good as he's been at every level, he's never been able to push a team over the top. He's 6 feet tall. Is he a bulldog? He was really great in New Orleans in the first go-around because they were hellacious, scary good because of him, because of his will and his skill and his handle and just his bulldoggedness. But after a while, he started to lose a little bit as he started to move around, and now he's lost way too much, and they're stuck with him. And yet, I'm going to remind everybody, they did have the best record after the All-Star break, so something was going okay, right? Well, mostly James Harden was going right.
Yeah.
I think he had the greatest individual offensive year we've ever seen in the history of basketball, right? As far as going solo.
And
have you ever seen any better than solo?
No. And what caused him to take off like that? Who got hurt? Who missed the game?
Yeah.
If there's no coincidence that James Harden's streak started when Chris Paul went out.
Right. And again, speaking of luck and fate, remember, they're tied 2-2 with Golden State. Remember, it's Game 5 at Golden State, and they're down 14.5, and they just go on a tear coming out of halftime. And what do we talk about all year? It looked like Kevin and Draymond weren't quite right, and the offense wasn't clicking with KD and Steph trying to figure out how to play off each other. And what happened? KD goes down and out, and all of a sudden Steph said, oh, it's my turn. I get to be 73-9 Steph, right?
Yep.
And here they went. And they took off Game 5, fourth quarter, and then Game 6 at Houston to close that game. And predictably, James and Chris just sort of evaporated at that point. But they don't have a lot of goodwill to fall back on. It's not like they're tight and close. And the most incredible point in this story is that Chris, when he was running the second team on the floor, would bark at D'Antoni on the bench to keep James on the bench. Don't let him come back in. And then James would start barking, put me back in. Well, now you've hit bottom, man. Wait, the other guard is saying, don't let him back in.
The guy that's the MVP, the reigning MVP, like, no, keep him out.
Keep him out? What are you talking about?
But how do you, moving forward, Skip, you and I both believe that Chris Paul is untradeable.
Yeah.
James Harden's not going anywhere.
No.
How do you make this work then?
I don't know. I tried before the show just to figure out. I mean, the only thing you can do is just slowly but surely not play him as many minutes. I know he's not going to sit still for that. He's going to make waves.
Well,
I don't know.
They try to stagger their minutes. You know, if you notice, Skip, they start together, then Chris Paul heads out, James Harden to finish the quarter, then Chris Paul will normally start the second while James is on the bench getting his rest.
Yeah.
But to see for a football player, Skip, if I got beef with a defensive player, Skip, the only time I really see him is at practice.
Yeah.
I have offensive meeting, he has defensive meeting. I have individual meetings, he has individual meetings. So we can do whatever we do. But when you're a basketball, there's only 12 of you guys. I see, we're on the plane. I mean, I see you. I mean, I'm walking around. I've never, like I said, I'm not saying that it's never existed like this. It's hard to know. But now because we have so much access and we have people so freely willing to talk about this, Skip, because normally, like, that's a bunch of malarkey. Because this story was out, about a month ago, Skip, when we almost did it. And you were like, well, let's see if it plays. Let's see what plays out, because this might be a lot about nothing. And then, boom, this drops on the table.
So just for perspective, so people understand, last year, James Harden, greatest individual offensive season ever, he led the league in field goals attempted and made, in three-point shots attempted and made, and in free throws attempted and made.
Yeah.
He ran away with usage rate. 41% of the time, the ball's in his hand. Next on the list is Russell Westbrook at 33%. So he just crushed that, right? He also led the league in turnovers, because you're going to have the ball in your hands. You're probably going to turn it over.
Absolutely.
But he still averaged 8 assists, and he has one year led this league in assists. So it's not like he won't give the ball up at all. It's just hard to fit in. And when they said we're going to try to pair them up, what did we say? Oh, good luck with that.
Yeah, because both of the guys are ball dominant. Chris Paul is used to having the ball in his hands. Well, James Harden is used to having the ball in his hands more than you got the ball in your hands, Chris Paul. So how's that going to work? But, Skip, this is what James Harden is a dribble, go to the basket, floater, lay up, step back three. Chris Paul's like, well, how the hell did I fit in? I'm a point guard.
Well, he only fits into like a Golden State offense where you can run off picks. Well, they're not going to run off any picks. They're not going to run plays. Right? Chris
Paul's an old school, Skip. He's an old school. He's truly an old school point guard. He's that John Stockton, Jason Kidd. Let me run the offense. Yeah, I can get up in the open court. But if we run a half court set, I'm good at that. He's an old school. These other point guards, James Harden is a two guard. He's masquerading. Steph Curry is a two guard. He's masquerading.
True.
So is Russell. So is Dame Lillard. But with the way the offenses are going now, the old school point guard is becoming obsolete. just like a true big man that all he does is post up. If you're a 5 and you can't shoot threes, or if you're a 4 and can't shoot threes, I don't really know how you make it. Well, Chris Paul, $124 million over the next 3 years, which is 41.3.
Staggering.
At 34.
That's Daryl Morey's fault.
Yeah.
He swung and missed. He misjudged this one.
But Skip, we knew something had to be awry when he says everybody is up for discussion.
Okay, fine. Yet, the painful irony of this whole discussion is that, wait a second, there's no KD and no Clay for maybe the whole year. All of a sudden, the Rockets, if you just revert back to who you were last year, you're saying, well, we still got a chance here, right?
Absolutely.
Woo.
But I ain't saying you got to love who the guy you playing with, but shouldn't you like him, Skip? Shouldn't you be able to get along a little bit?
I don't know.
How you going to tell them, Skip, how did that go look? Hey, I mean, can you imagine Tom Brady say, hey, keep Gronk out. Let the other tight ends.
No. But one more quote in the ESPN article is Chris, meaning Chris Paul, has a personality. He just doesn't let anything go. He just keeps pestering and pestering and pestering, and he does. He's hard to deal with like that, which is why he was great as the head of the Players Association. That he was made for that.
Yeah.
But if you try to make him the head of your basketball team when the other guy's ball dominant, you are going to clash like crazy.
Team chemistry, so critical. All right, guys, we've talked lots of NBA. We've got some NFL topics coming up next. Is there already drama between Aaron...